So this was a big story that broke yesterday that I feel compelled to discuss. Kylie Jenner, the youngest member of the famous Kardashian-Jenner clan, is on track to be the youngest self-made billionaire in history. Kylie Cosmetics launched 2 years ago with a $29 lip kit consisting of a matching set of lipstick and lip liner and has sold more than $630 million worth of makeup since, including an estimated $330 million in 2017. Using a conservative estimate, quote, Forbes values her company, which has since added other cosmetics like eyeshadow and concealer, at nearly $800 million. Jenner owns 100% of it. Add to that the millions she earned from TV programs and endorsing products like Puma shoes and the PacSun clothing, and $60 million in estimated after-tax dividends she's taken from her company, and she's conservatively worth $900 million. To put that in perspective, her famous sister, Kim Kardashian West, who has recently been in the spotlight for successfully lobbying Trump for Alice Marie Johnson's clemency, is worth $350 million. Okay, so listen, I'm fucking shocked that Kylie is worth more than Kim. Because Kim's been out there a much longer time. She's been more famous, but Kylie just rocketed past her in net worth. That's fucking fascinating. Now, I tweeted about this yesterday. I got some backlash, although not much. I think most of you were on my side when I tweeted about it. But, you look at this story. Kylie Jenner either is a billionaire or is about to be a billionaire. She's a 21-year-old reality star who was part of the Good Sperm Club, born into a family that was already wealthy. Now, I'm not hating on her. I want to be clear about that. I'm not like, fuck you. That's not the point of my commentary here. My point is, divorce all preconceptions and all ideologies from, whatever's floating around in your head, dismiss it. Blank slate right now. Given that fact, Kylie Jenner, given her history, given where she's at now, either is a billionaire or about to be a billionaire, 21 years old, reality star, born into a good family, lucky in that sense. Is there anybody who can honestly argue that redistribution of wealth is a negative thing? Now, again, let me be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying, have jackbooted government thugs break down her door and take all of her money. I'm not saying tax her 100% and throw her in the gulag. Not saying that. Not saying that at all. Not even necessarily saying take 50% of her money, although maybe. But point is, we live in a country where 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to health care. People in Flint, Michigan don't have clean water. Half of workers in America, make $30,000 a year or less. There are people who work multiple full-time jobs and still don't make enough money to survive. So we don't live in a meritocracy. The reality is not, hey, listen, man, you want to do well? Work harder and you'll do well. Sometimes that's the case. Don't get me wrong. There are pockets of the economy that you can say are more meritocracy-based than others. Sports is a good example of that. You do better and you're more marketable. You make more money. Okay, fine. I generally support the idea of a meritocracy. I believe in equal opportunity, not equal outcome. But when you look at this story with Kylie Jenner, it actually illustrates a very important point, that we don't live in a meritocracy. That there are people who work way harder than Kylie Jenner. And I'm not saying she doesn't work hard, because I don't know. Maybe she does. But there definitely are people who work way, way harder than Kylie Jenner. And not only do they not make as much money as she does, they're living under the poverty line. So I don't know how, if you see this story and throw out all of your preconceived ideas about different ideologies and political positions, throw all that out and just look at this fact. A 21-year-old who is on a reality show, sells makeup, and is just lucky to be born into that family. And she's 21 and either is a billionaire or is about to be a billionaire. If you can't look at that and say, Oh, that's why we need some level of redistribution of wealth. That's why we need to have a progressive tax system. Should Kylie Jenner pay the same tax rate as somebody who works full-time and makes $50,000 a year? Should they pay the same tax rate? Is that what should happen? Maybe some of you say yes to that. If you do, I think I'll be kind and say, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. So we need to create a system that's reasonable. At face value, this is not reasonable. If you want to give everybody health care, you want to give everybody education, and you want to pay everybody a living wage, and then you want to say, okay, you're going to have these outliers that become billionaires, perhaps for no good reason. Okay, that's a much more reasonable conversation to have. But if you want to defend the status quo, when we have people dying because they don't have health care, we have half of workers in this country making $30,000 a year or less, 76% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, not because they're lazy, because the system doesn't reward their work. If you want to defend this system, I think that's silly. I do. I think that's silly. So the whole argument that I've been making and many others on the left have been making from a social democratic position is this idea that we already live in a meritocracy is hilarious. It's hilarious. And in order to have equality of opportunity, you do have to have a progressive tax system. You do have to have redistribution of wealth. And listen, maybe at the end of your redistribution, Kylie Jenner still has, let's just do round numbers here, $450 million. Say she's worth $900 million now. $450 million. If she has that much money at the end of it, are you going to sit there crying about it's a tyrannical system against Kylie Jenner? She earned that on the marketplace. Laissez-faire, unfettered capitalism is always right. Well, there's an easy rebuttal to that. Your economic worth is not equal to your human worth. And we have a system now that says, no, those things are linked. That's the same thing. Your economic value is the same as your human value. So if you work 2 full-time jobs and you live in poverty and Kylie Jenner does what she does and she has a fucking $1 billion, tough cookies. That's what you're worth. That's what you're worth in this society. Well, that society's fucked up. And there's not a very logical argument for that society to continue to existing the way it does. And we need to recognize that. So, listen, raise their taxes. Again, I'm not saying she shouldn't be rich. Totally fine with her being rich. Question is, how rich? Should she have $1 billion for what she does? No. No, that's not a hard one. No, she shouldn't. So, especially at a time when there are people who work full-time and they don't make enough money to survive. And they're trying to take care of their kids and they don't have fucking health care and, we can go down the list. So, raise taxes on the rich, man. Raise taxes on the rich. Not in favor of making them poor or forcing them to be middle class. Just raise taxes on the rich. Let's set up a system that's more of a meritocracy. I feel like I'm the one actually arguing for meritocracy, whereas this is not a meritocracy. This is sheer lunacy.